Hey, Charity, how you doing? David Menzies here. Fancy meeting you here. Just wondering, how come you're not running in the riding you live in?
I'm not agreeing to the interview, but if you want to interview, I'm happy to ask you a few questions.
As the smoke clears and the dust settles and the remaining mail-in ballots are tabulated, that $600 million nothing burger, otherwise known as the 2021 federal election, is pretty much over and done with. But there are some epilogues to this sordid saga that must be noted. Case in point, what transpired in the riding of Richmond Hill, Ontario. You see, Richmond Hill was the country's closest race in the 2019 federal election. In fact, Conservative candidate Kostas Minagakis went to bed as the victor on election night, but found out the next morning that after the mail-in ballots had been tabulated, Liberal incumbent Majid Johari had recaptured the riding by just a couple of hundred votes, a razor-thin victory margin of just 0.2%. So it was expected by, well, virtually everybody that Richmond Hill would make for yet another super tight race. And it would be one of those 905 ridings that the Conservatives had a legitimate chance of winning. So you can imagine the surprise Kostas Minagakis experienced when earlier this month, signs in Tory blue popped up just about, well, in every vacant lot in Richmond Hill for Charity DiPaola, aka Charity McGrath. Now, Charity DiPaola McGrath is a wannabe Conservative. She's been that way for years now, and she was running this time as an independent, although Charity surely wanted constituents to mistakenly believe, primarily through her deceptive signage, that she was A, the incumbent, and B, the actual Conservative candidate. Incredible. Now, here's the thing, folks. We did reach out to Charity. In fact, members of the mainstream media reached out to her during the campaign as well. But if Charity were an animal, she would be the Arctic lynx, a creature so seldom seen by human eyes that it sports the nickname the Ghost of the North. And isn't that kind of odd? Normally, a politician running for office during an election campaign craves publicity. So why the silent treatment? Unless, of course, one had something to hide. Well, can you believe it? On election day in Richmond Hill, I happened to stumble across Charity at a restaurant. Shortly after I parked, she decided to exit the eatery and went into a wooded area. It appeared that she was smoking something. What that substance was, I have no idea. In any event, I waited for her to return to the restaurant, and just like that, I was able to interview the Richmond Hill version of the Arctic lynx. Check it out. Hey, Charity, how you doing? David Menzies here. Fancy meeting you here. Just wondering, how come you're not running in the riding you live in?
I'm not agreeing to the interview, but if you want to interview, I'm happy to ask you a few questions.
Oh, well, you know what? I'm actually asking you because you're running for office. Why are your signs so deceptive? You're a member of Parliament.
Question, how come you spend so much time in Councillor Carmine Pirelli's office?
Really? I haven't been in his office in years, actually.
Funny, a lot of Richmond Hill staff attest to otherwise.
Oh, okay then. Well, it's funny. The last time I was in his office, I think your husband was in his office. You're using your husband's name now. Why is that?
Actually, it's my legal name.
Okay then, but you used to be Charity McGrath.
Come with me this way.
Okay then. You used to be Charity McGrath. Is it because...
Okay, it's my maiden name.
Is it because that has a lot of baggage in terms of allegations of electoral fraud, which is why the Conservatives don't want anything to do with you?
Actually, not only do the progressive Conservatives want something to do with me, I'm actually director to Women in Politics with the party. I have a membership, and I work closely with all of the progressive people in the Conservative Party.
So why are you running as an independent in a riding you don't even live in?
What are you talking about? I live in Richmond Hill.
You don't live in the riding of Richmond Hill.
Are we in Richmond Hill?
We are, but we're in the riding of... We're in the riding of...
We're in Richmond Hill, and my address says Richmond Hill, David.
Yeah,
so
but you don't live in the riding of Richmond Hill.
What you're saying right now is fraudulent, actually.
No, it's 100%.
No.
Okay, do you live in the federal riding of Richmond Hill?
I live in Richmond Hill.
Yeah, you didn't answer the question, Charity. Sorry. No, you live in the Oak Ridges.
I live in Richmond Hill.
Yeah, but you're
Absolutely, David.
You're not.
And you know that I do because you're a resident of Richmond Hill yourself.
That's right.
That's right.
I live in the same riding you do, which is represented by Leona Alislev, not Kostas Menegakis.
Okay. But I live in Richmond Hill, and I'm running for Richmond Hill.
So who is your MP in your riding?
Richmond Hill South. Thank you for asking.
Who is your MP in your riding?
Next question.
Wow, weird. And true to form, Charity was evasive and completely non-transparent, as you just saw. Yet, as they used to say on those Ronco ads, but wait, there's more. You see, deceptive signage and sudden surname switcheroos are one thing, but claiming to be someone that you are not is quite another. In the days before September 20th, allegations arose that Charity might have been misrepresenting herself as the actual Conservative candidate. A Toronto Star story notes that at least one Richmond Hill resident who wants to remain anonymous filed a complaint about that with Elections Canada. Now, I reached out to Elections Canada, but was informed that my queries regarding the Charity case had to be directed toward the Commissioner of Canada Elections, and that's exactly what I did. But check out the inexplicable reply. The CCC generally does not confirm whether it has received a complaint or not into a particular issue. This is in keeping with the confidentiality provisions of the Canada Elections Act. Generally speaking, however, every complaint is reviewed to determine if it falls under the Commissioner's mandate. If the issue falls within the Commissioner's jurisdiction, a review or investigation may be carried out to determine whether or not there was, in fact, wrongdoing under the Act. With respect to the specific case outlined below, it wouldn't be appropriate for me to speculate as to whether or not the circumstances described in the Toronto Star article would be contrary to the Act. Regards, Michelle Laliberté. You know, I think that's a shocking response, given that I'm not asking for the identity of the person who allegedly made the complaint, but rather, I just want to know if a complaint has been received. Say, whatever happened to Sunny Ways and that other promise back in 2015 by the Justin Trudeau Liberals that this regime would be the most transparent government in our Dominion's history. Actually, the precise opposite has come to fruition. But at the end of the day, if Charity, whatever her surname is, was hoping to torpedo the Menegakis campaign by siphoning off a few hundred votes, well, it turns out she wasted a whole lot of time and a whole lot of money for nothing. Surprisingly, the riding of Richmond Hill was nowhere near the photo finish horse race that it was in 2019, because this time, Majid Johari did not win by a couple of hundred votes, but rather he won by more than 4,000 votes. As for Charity, your Member of Parliament candidate, she managed to snag a minuscule 619 votes. Yes, 619. We'll never know how many of those voters mistakenly thought Charity was indeed the Conservative candidate, but really, it's a moot point. That's because Charity was a non-factor. She did not play the role of spoiler. She was, as the saying goes, nobody's nothing. But get this, in one last act of spite, this wannabe Conservative actually tweeted out, "Congratulations to Majid Johari, a man who shockingly supports the Islamo-fascist Iranian regime." She also tweeted the following quote, "It was a wonderful experience. Now, on and upwards," end quote. On and upwards? Oh, Charity, your GPS is clearly malfunctioning. You are not going upwards. Indeed, my parting question to Charity DiPaola McGrath Nobody, aka Richmond Hill's uber sore loser, is simply this. just how low can you go? For Rebel News, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Folks, can you imagine vaccine passports are a fact of life in Canada? Do you think that's right, to have medical apartheid? Well, I sure don't. If you can, please go to fightvaccinepassports.com. That's fightvaccinepassports.com. And if you're able to, kindly make a donation.